What if the walls of your home were slowly killing you, and you had no idea? What if the medicine in your cabinet was more dangerous than the disease? What if every breath you took, every glass of water you drank, every beautiful object you touched was silently poisoning you and your family? Today, I'm going to drop you inside a Victorian house in 1880 England. You'll wake up in a freezing bedroom, navigate a world of invisible killers, and discover why most modern people wouldn't last a single day in what looks like an elegant, civilized home. And by the end, you'll understand why the Victorians, without ever knowing it, were living inside a death trap disguised as paradise. What we know about the hidden dangers of Victorian homes comes from a disturbing paper trail, coroner reports documenting mysterious deaths, medical journals describing strange illnesses, factory records exposing toxic ingredients, and personal diaries where families tried to understand why their children kept getting sick. Publications like The Lancet ran exposés on food adulteration. Government inquiries revealed arsenic in everything from wallpaper to children's toys. And census data shows us the brutal reality: in some London neighbourhoods, 1 in 3 children died before age 5. This wasn't poverty. This wasn't war. This was everyday life, inside beautiful homes that were quietly killing their occupants. Let's begin with someone specific. Her name is Eleanor Ashworth. She's 31 years old, the wife of a successful merchant, mother of 3 children. She lives in a terraced house in Islington, brick facade, tall windows, iron railings out front. From the street, it looks like the picture of Victorian respectability. Eleanor was raised to believe that her purpose was the home. She manages the household accounts, supervises the servants, plans the meals, and maintains the social calendar. She's intelligent, capable, and completely unaware that her house is trying to kill her. Her husband, Thomas, leaves for work each morning at 8. Her eldest son, Frederick, is 9, already showing signs of the delicate constitution that runs in the family. Her daughter, Mary, is 6, quiet and obedient. And little James is just 3, still sleeping in the nursery upstairs. Eleanor takes pride in her home. The parlor is decorated with the finest wallpaper, a stunning emerald green with gold accents. The children's toys are painted in bright, cheerful colors. The medicine cabinet is stocked with the latest remedies from the apothecary. She believes she's giving her family the best. She has no idea what's really happening. It started 3 months ago. Frederick began complaining of headaches. Then Mary developed a persistent cough. Little James became listless, refusing to eat. Eleanor herself noticed strange symptoms: fatigue, nausea, a metallic taste in her mouth that wouldn't go away. The doctor came. He prescribed rest, fresh air, and a tonic of laudanum for the children's coughs. The symptoms would ease for a few days, then return worse than before. Thomas suggested a trip to the country. Eleanor agreed, anything to help the children recover. But they couldn't leave. Thomas's business required him in London. The social season was approaching. There were obligations, appearances to maintain. So they stayed. And the house kept doing what it did best. Imagine the mornings in that house. The creak of floorboards in the darkness. The scratch of a match against iron as the housemaid lights the kitchen stove at 5 a.m. The smell of coal dust mixing with something else, something chemical, almost sweet, that no one can quite identify. Upstairs, Eleanor lies awake, listening to Frederick cough in the next room. Her breath fogs in the air. The bedroom is freezing, only the parlor will be heated today. She pulls the wool blanket tighter and tries not to think about the doctor's puzzled expression during his last visit. Down the hall, little James whimpers in his sleep. His painted wooden horse, bright green, his favorite toy, sits on the pillow beside him. He chews on it sometimes, when he's teething. The wallpaper gleams in the early light. Beautiful. Deadly. This wasn't tragedy. This was Tuesday. And that's what this video is really about. The Victorian home was not a sanctuary, it was a minefield. Every room, every object, every daily routine contained hazards that the Victorians couldn't see, couldn't smell, couldn't taste. They were being poisoned by their own prosperity, killed by their own good taste. Let me show you exactly how a single day in this house could destroy you. The day begins at 6 a.m. when the housemaid, Sarah, lights the fires. She's been working since 5, carrying coal from the cellar, emptying chamber pots, preparing the kitchen stove. Her hands are red and cracked from lye soap and cold water. She's 19 years old and already has the cough that will eventually kill her. The fires burn coal, cheap, abundant, and toxic. The smoke fills the house with particulates that settle into lungs and never leave. The infamous London fog wasn't natural, it was coal smoke combining with moisture, creating a poisonous smog that killed thousands bad winters. But the fires are necessary. Without central heating, Victorian homes were brutally cold. Temperatures in bedrooms could drop below freezing on winter mornings. The wealthy burned more coal, which meant more smoke, which meant more damage to lungs that were already struggling. Eleanor rises at 7. She washes at a porcelain basin, water that was pumped from a well that might be contaminated by the cesspit in the backyard. Victorian plumbing was primitive at best. Sewage leached into groundwater. The water that looked clean could be carrying cholera, typhoid, or dysentery. Now, let me be direct with you for a moment. What you're seeing on your screen are high-fidelity digital reconstructions. I use AI to show you every texture, every detail, every hidden danger, because there are no cameras from 1880, and the photographs that survive only tell part of the story. But don't let the technology fool you, the facts, the chemicals, and the death tolls I'm describing are 100% real, documented in archives across England and backed by decades of medical research. If you want to understand how the past really worked, not the romanticized version, but the dangerous truth, hit that subscribe button right now. Because I'm going through every room of this Victorian house, from the nursery to the kitchen to the medicine cabinet, to expose what they never knew was killing them. Let's keep going. Eleanor dresses with the help of her maid. The corset comes first, whalebone and steel, laced tight enough to compress her internal organs and restrict her breathing. Victorian beauty standards demanded waists of 18 inches. Women fainted regularly. Some developed broken ribs. Others suffered permanent organ damage. Her dress is dyed with synthetic colors, the new aniline dyes that had revolutionized the textile industry. What no one understood yet was that some of these dyes were toxic. Green dresses contained arsenic. Purple and red fabrics sometimes contained lead or mercury. Women absorbed these poisons through their skin, especially when sweating. By 8 o'clock, Eleanor is in the morning room, reviewing the household accounts. She sits beneath that beautiful green wallpaper, breathing air that contains arsenic particles released from the pigment. Scheeles green, the color that defined Victorian elegance, was made with copper arsenite. When it got damp or warm, it released toxic gas. The Victorians called it arsenical poisoning. Symptoms included headaches, nausea, skin lesions, and eventually, organ failure. Doctors were baffled. They blamed bad air, weak constitutions, moral failings. They never suspected the wallpaper. In 1879, Queen Victoria herself ordered all green wallpaper removed from Buckingham Palace after a visiting diplomat fell gravely ill. But the news traveled slowly. Most families never heard the warning. They kept breathing the poison, never understanding why they felt so tired, so sick, so wrong. The children come downstairs for breakfast at 9. Frederick picks at his food, porridge with milk that may or may not be contaminated. Victorian milk was frequently adulterated with chalk to make it whiter, or borax to disguise the taste of spoilage. Thousands of children died from drinking contaminated milk. The bacteria were invisible. The consequences were not. Mary plays with her painted blocks, bright red and green, colored with lead and arsenic. Victorian toys were works of art and instruments of slow poisoning. Children put toys in their mouths. They absorbed the paint through their skin. Lead accumulated in their bones, damaging their developing brains. Little James toddles around the nursery upstairs, supervised by the nursemaid. He's been fussy lately, so she gives him a spoonful of Mrs. Winslow's soothing syrup. The label promises relief for teething pain. The active ingredient is morphine. It certainly stopped the crying, by drugging infants into unconsciousness. Some never woke up. By noon, Eleanor has a splitting headache. She takes a dose of laudanum, tincture of opium mixed with alcohol. It was available without prescription, recommended by doctors for everything from menstrual cramps to melancholy. It was also devastatingly addictive. Thousands of Victorian women became dependent on opiates prescribed by their own physicians. The afternoon brings social calls. Eleanor receives visitors in the parlor, that elegant room with the arsenic wallpaper. Tea is served in china cups that may have been glazed with lead. The water was boiled, which killed some bacteria, but the lead leached slowly into every cup. Gas lamps illuminate the room as the winter afternoon fades. Beautiful, convenient, and potentially deadly. Gas leaks were common. Carbon monoxide is odorless. Families went to bed feeling slightly unwell and never woke up. The Victorians called it gas poisoning without fully understanding the mechanism. Dinner is served at 7, multiple courses, heavy meats, rich sauces. Victorian food was frequently adulterated to increase profits or disguise spoilage. Bread might contain chalk or alum. Sausages could include anything. Tea was sometimes colored with iron filings to look more expensive. Coffee was stretched with chicory or burnt sugar. After dinner, the family gathers by the fire. Thomas reads aloud from the newspaper. Eleanor works on her embroidery. The children play quietly on the floor, their toys scattered around them, each object a potential poison delivery system. The fire burns low. The gas lamps hiss softly. Somewhere in the walls, lead pipes carry water that will slowly damage everyone who drinks it. The coal smoke settles into lungs. The arsenic continues its silent work. By 10 o'clock, the family retires. Eleanor kisses the children goodnight and returns to her bedroom, where she'll sleep beneath sheets washed in toxic chemicals, on a mattress that might harbor parasites, in air contaminated by gas lamps and arsenic wallpaper. She doesn't feel well. She hasn't felt well in months. But she doesn't know why, and neither does her doctor. The house continues to do what it does. Beautiful. Elegant. Deadly. This was not exceptional. This was normal. Every element I've described was present in thousands of Victorian homes across England. The wealthy weren't safer than the poor, they were sometimes more exposed because they could afford more wallpaper, more paint, more medicine. The Victorians weren't stupid. They were simply living with dangers they couldn't detect, couldn't understand, couldn't escape. They trusted progress. They trusted their doctors. They trusted the beautiful objects that filled their homes. And progress betrayed them. We look back now with horror at what they didn't know. But consider this, what dangers lurk in our own homes that we haven't discovered yet? What will future generations find horrifying about how we live? The Victorian era teaches us that invisible killers can hide anywhere, even in the things we love most.